Hello, and welcome to The Wave from Ocean Reef, a podcast about the flow of life today and how you and I might ride with or swim against it. I'm Dan Meyer, Chaplain-in-Residence at the beautiful Ocean Reef community in Key Largo, Florida. For many years, I led one of the largest churches in America, hosted an Emmy Award-winning television news magazine, and moderated a forum for business and professional leaders. Along the way, I had the chance to work on a farm, in a maximum security prison, on an offshore oil rig, and in the world corporate headquarters of IBM. These experiences, plus a political science education at Yale and degrees in theology from Princeton and Fuller seminaries, have made me fascinated with people and with the various predicaments and possibilities that shape the flow of human life. I hope you'll find this podcast sparks your own thinking about that. So here's the wave for today. We've seen so much lately. Wars, wildfires, tornadoes, hurricanes, terrible shootings. It is only natural to ask, if God is so great and so good, then why does he allow such suffering? Have you ever wondered that? When my uncle was murdered by bank robbers, when my cousin was beaten to death at age 24, when my sister's baby turned out to be terminally deformed, when a drunk driver left my brother's fiancée disfigured and brain injured, when witnessing the hollow eye sockets of people living on dust and garbage, I have asked that question myself. Why, God? I've searched for an answer that eliminated all doubt, dismay, or discomfort from my life. But as historian George F. Kennan once wrote, the truth is sometimes a poor competitor in the marketplace of ideas. The truth is complicated, unsatisfying, full of dilemmas, always vulnerable to misinterpretation and abuse. Yet this does not stop the truth from being true. Suffering is a reality of life we must all face. How we do that depends a lot on what we believe about the reasons for suffering or the course of its redemption. I've come to believe that there are two preeminent reasons for the agonies of this world. The first is that a great deal of suffering is the result of tragic, wicked, or stupid human choices. A gunman or a band of terrorists shower bullets on innocent people. A celebrity uses his power to violate women. A suburban shopper spends money on luxuries that could have fed the hungry or brought relief to disaster victims. From third world governments that use aid money to pad their luxurious lifestyle, to companies that poison the environment with harmful chemicals, to ordinary people who keep building homes in the path of notorious weather cycles, malevolent or misguided human choices are the number one reason for disease, destruction, and premature death on this planet. That's a fact. If human sin could be faced, if hearts and minds could be changed, if self-sacrificing love could become our motivating force and not simply an occasional feature on the evening news, if we could make loving our neighbor as we wish to be loved our preeminent priority, how many of the agonies of this world might go away? And how might we also be able to deal more creatively with a second source of misery? Much suffering is the necessary downside of living in a world with dependable and interdependent physical laws. Think about this with me. The clear majority of the time, we're immensely grateful for things like cell growth and gravity, for the action of wind and water, for the way that the shifting of the Earth's plates creates mountains, valleys, and plains. It is impossible, however, to have a world with such overwhelmingly positive forces and not have occasions where they interact in such a way that creates pain. Again, were a cure to human selfishness found, there would be ways of mitigating this downside considerably. There would be ways of moving people out of famine-prone regions, or of not building homes where they're prone to destruction by hurricanes and floods. There would be ways of investing more fully in the suppression of disease in ourselves and others, or in the recovery and care of people caught in the confluence of this world's physical forces. It's convenient to see or to experience suffering and rail against the goodness, greatness, or existence of God. But even if we reject God, I've tried that, we're still left with suffering. This reality ought to invite us to ask why. Why so much pain amidst such plenty? What is our part in it? And where can we find the power to change? The religious tradition I come from posits two perspectives that have helped some people endure these agonies that don't go away. The first idea is that God is with us in our suffering. The Passover of Israel and the cross of Christ are images of this, signs that far from being distant or uncaring about our pain, God feels it with us. Sometimes I cannot remove your suffering, God says. Sometimes I can't explain how it fits into a larger plan. But this I promise, I will never leave you nor forsake you. The second perspective some of us hold on to in the midst of suffering time is the belief that a day is coming when suffering will be undone. In the final book of The Lord of the Rings, a climactic moment comes when the little hobbit Sam Gamgee discovers that both he and his friend, the great wizard Gandalf, are not dead as anticipated, but still alive. The wonder of that drives Sam to the question, is everything sad going to come untrue? Faith answers that question. Yes. One day, by the grace that holds this universe together, everything sad is going to come untrue. This does not mean that the sad things will not have happened. It does not mean that they will not have hurt so much. But as the brilliant New York pastor Tim Keller shared as pancreatic cancer stole his life, the assurance of God is that in the end, the joy will somehow be greater for having once been broken and lost. That's today's Wave from Ocean Reef. If you know of others who might appreciate this sort of content, I hope you'll pass it along or encourage them to find me on Apple Podcasts. Until next time, I'm Dan Meyer, hoping that the flow of life is good for you.